Welcome to EDN113 Living and Learning with Technology. Assignment Task 2 Makerspace Project. In preparation for Assignment 2, you need to understand what Maker Movement is and how to use it in a meaningful way by doing your readings and viewings on Maker Movement. You also need to explore the Akara and SCASA websites for curriculum content. You need to play around with different blog platforms, and furthermore you need to explore some ideas for meaningful learning projects by looking at examples of STEM projects and Makerspace projects online. Do not copy these projects, just use them as inspiration to create your own. Okay, what is this assignment about? You are to create a project that will engage your students meaningfully with their subject material and digital technology. Projects normally run over a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 10 sessions. Any subject can be chosen. For example, you can do science, maths, arts, English, health, physical education, music, and or ICT as your main subject area. You have to link the project to the appropriate curriculum content descriptors, which you will find in the Australian curriculum or Akara or on the School Curriculum and Standard Authority website. You will need to provide a learning outcome discussing what skills you want the students to demonstrate by the end of the project. You need to create a step-by-step plan on how your students will learn about the topic and create their end products to show their learning, including meaningful resources for both students and their fellow teachers. You need to create an example of the product with the same technology required from the students to the same standard. And lastly, you need to provide details on where the students will present their end products and who the audience will be. Now let's look at your project plan. That's part A, and it's with 10 marks. On your project plan, you'll find your project description. Under the project description, you've got 5 different headings. First is curriculum standards, second is learning outcome, then task description, then end product, and then presentation space and audience. Under your curriculum standards, you need to decide which subject area you're going to use, a sub area. So for instance, you can say you're going to do science, biology, and your sub area will be life cycles. Then you pick your year level, and for topic you will say, for instance, the life cycle of a crab. Learning outcomes. You need to understand what skills the students need to demonstrate. And under your learning outcomes, you will then have to explain what these skills are that the students need to demonstrate, and refer back to your meaningful learning or your Bloom's taxonomy when you write your learning outcomes. The task description is not a step-by-step explanation of what your students is going to do. It is a summary description of the task and how it addresses the curriculum standards and the learning outcomes, and how it is appropriate for the chosen year level. The end product, you need to discuss what the students will make and what technology the students will use to create the end product. For your presentation space, you need to address how the students will show their creations, where they will show their creations, and who will be the audience. So who will they show their creations to? Now the second part of our project plan is the rationale. Now the rationale is only a maximum of 500 words. So you need to choose your words very carefully, because 500 words is not a lot. Within this 500 words, you need to have 3 paragraphs. First one explaining how the task will assist the students to develop the knowledge and skills expected to demonstrate at the end of the project. So, how the task will help the students to develop the skills and knowledge set out in your learning outcomes. 2, the second paragraph is describe how the task addresses the characteristics of meaningful learning. And the third paragraph is explain how the selected technologies will support the student learning through the making process. And you may refer here to what you've read about the Makers Movement. Just remember that the focus here is on students using technology to create or make something. So having students listening to YouTube videos or doing online research with a computer or an iPad does not equals creating something. So think about the type of things that we've created over the past semester and that we talked about, and use those to guide you here. And looking at referencing, your referencing should be done in APA style. We provide you with a link from the Murdoch website. Research that you're going to use for this assignment needs to be referenced in your plan as well. Assignment 2 Part B with 25 marks is actually the creating of your blog. Your project platform for this assignment will be a blog space. You're welcome to select any blog platform. Example, EduBlog, Blogger, WordPress, Wix. However, EduBlog was the suggested platform to use, and you will find how to create an EduBlog video that was done by Brigitte on the LMS. With the previous assignment, you all showed us how you were able to attribute pictures and images on your websites. Very few of the groups have actually gone so far as to license their work. Now, the challenge for this assignment is for you to actually put a license on the bottom of your blog page. Even if it's only the home page of your blog page, then it's sufficient. So, how to create a license for your blog? Step 1, go to Creative Commons Australia's website. Then next, you'll scroll down till you get to the green box on the bottom that says choose a Creative Commons license. From there, if you click on it, it'll take you to a site where you actually can make your own license. So firstly, you'll select your license type. So license features, you can choose what you want to say. Yes, allow others to adapt your work and share it. No, they're not allowed to. Or yes, they're allowed to, as long as they share alike. And then you can decide, allow a commercial use of your work, yes or no. If you were to select the way I selected it when I created this, is yes, they can adapt my work as long as they share alike, and it's not available for commercial use, then this is what your license will look like. You can go one step further. You can now help others to attribute your work. So you click here and you add your details. You don't have to include all options that's asked, but putting your name in there and maybe the title of your work will help others to attribute your work. Once you're done with this, it will show you what your web page license will look like, and you can just copy that license over to your web page. So let's go to the blog pages. There's only 4 blog pages that you need to have. The first one is the home page, the About Me page, the project overview page, and the project content page. When looking at the home page, this is where you'll give an informative and engaging explanation on the purpose of the blog, together with your overview video. On your About Me page, you need to include your name and your contact details, but please stay away from including telephone numbers. And you need to give an informative biography to give your site some credibility. Project overview page. The project overview page provides a succinct overview of the topics or concepts covered in your project and explain how the activities completed by the students address the curriculum and the characteristics of meaningful learning. This is also where you will add your rationale and your end product. Then the last page is the project content page. Now the project content page is where you will post your task design. Your 3 to 10 sessions will be a step-by-step or lesson-by-lesson or session-by-session, whichever way you would want to see it, description on what's going to happen in each session. What resources do these students need to help them to either learn the content or create the end product? And then what extra or additional information do I need to give the students to help with some scaffolding? And what additional information can I give other teachers if they want to employ this project? The last thing that we need to talk about is referencing. Referencing is not done on a separate page. On our WebQuest with the last assignment, we had a credit page where we put all our referencing in. This time around, we do our referencing at the bottom of each page where applicable. So no separate page for referencing. All referencing in APA style and all attributions are at the bottom of each page. Okay, what resources do you need to create yourself? Firstly, the end product must have a digital component. So using a digital tool to create the project's end product, or it must include a digital component that captures the process of making or the final outcome of the process. Therefore, if you were to create something, overview video, it must have an overview of what the project's about, what the students will learn, how it addresses meaningful learning, what digital technology the students will use to create their end products, and how the technology used will assist in the students' learning. It must have a clear narrative, so there must be a narrator, there must be images, and there must be a text component to the video. Let's have a look at the marking guide. The marking guide, you will be marked on your home page and your About Me page. You will be marked on your overview, your project overview page. You will be marked on the project content, and under the project content, you will be marked on the task itself, whether the task is a real-world task, whether the students are able to make any decisions to create a meaningful end product, and whether it aligns with the learning outcomes. The next part that you will be marked on is the instructions. Are your instructions to the student clear on how they need to use their technology to support their learning? The second last one is your resources. Do you provide enough resources for the students to do their learning, to investigate the topic that they need to research, if it's for research purposes, if it's for viewing and discussion purposes? Do you provide them with enough resources and step-by-step instructions there? And then lastly, do you provide any advice to other teachers or extra resources to other teachers to make it easy for them to follow and maybe engage in the project themselves? Then you will be marked on your resources. So your first resource is the video overview. There need to be content, it need to be narrated, and there must be visuals. And we're looking at both the comprehensive explanation of the project, content and the learning outcome, and we look at the aestheticness of the video. So the good visuals, narration is clear, and it elaborates on the visual content. Then looking at resource 2, an example of a good end product. Here we will be looking at the example you created, how comprehensive your example is of the end product, and whether it's appropriate for your year level. Next we will be looking at copyright and attribution. We will be looking at the use of others' works, images, text, other media, and the licensing of your own work. So you do get marked on whether your blog's got a license on it. And lastly, the overall structure and writing. So we'll look at the flow, the tone, the sentence structure, the spelling, the grammar and vocabulary. I have to urge you to go to the Murdoch site, download Grammarly. It is free on the Murdoch site, and use it when you do your editing, reviewing of your work. Type up your work in a Word document, run it through Grammarly, and then copy it to your blog. Grammarly is not only a spell checker, it gives you the opportunity to actually check for grammar, spelling, punctuation, plagiarism, sentence structure, and it provides vocabulary enhancement. So do use it when you do your write-up for your blog. Right, next week, your assessment 2A, the project plan itself is due on the 21st, that's Monday morning at 9 a.m. Your assignment 1 marks will be released by week's end. And then lastly, the updated submission date for assignment 2B is now the 4th of June. Please contact your tutor if there's any further questions. Thank you.